So in Los Angeles, we went out to a truck stop. The truckers call it a race to the bottom, with shippers using foreign labor to undercut prevailing rates, putting everyone at risk.
There's one thing makes this thing safe. One item, and that's the man sitting behind the wheel. If you don't have a qualified man sitting right there, the rest doesn't matter.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we're headed on over to my state where I reside, California, because we have to take a moment to talk about very quickly the fact that Gavin Newsom is bending the knee, and 17,000 commercial driver's licenses will be revoked from illegal immigrant drivers, right? Those who should not be on the road to begin with. Now, if you let them tell it, they're not bending the knee. It's based off of laws that already exist on the books that they're enforcing. But if you know anything about DNC lunatics, they never enforce laws that are on the books, right? The reality is that if I remember correctly, there's roughly around $160 million in federal funding that can be held, right? Possibly withheld and not given to California if they don't crack down on this nonsense, right? So that's the real reason that you're seeing this happen. But once again, if you let them tell it, they're just enforcing laws that are already on the books, which is nonsense. But let's get into this clip here, and then we're going to unpack some more of the story.
California is revoking 17,000 commercial driver's licenses issued to immigrants.
Yeah, the decision is directly related to the legal status of the immigrant drivers.
Eyewitness News reporter Madison Weil live in our newsroom with these details. Madison.
Yeah, John, Rachel, Tony, that's right. The state says the licenses are being revoked because they're set to expire after the date the drivers are allowed to be in the U.S. The move follows pressure from the Trump administration, although California says these licenses violate an existing standard that was already in place. A nationwide audit was recently launched after a man from India with a commercial driver's license issued by California allegedly killed 3 people in Florida while making an illegal U-turn back in August. After that incident and a national review, the Department of Transportation threatened to pull $160 million in federal funding from California, claiming the state is issuing commercial driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. Still, Governor Newsom says that every driver whose license is being revoked had valid work authorizations from the federal government.
We're going to unpack the loophole that allows that, but he's full of it. These are illegal immigrants.
Another horrific crash that has kept this issue in the spotlight is one that happened in Ontario last month. It involved an undocumented man from India who is now facing vehicular manslaughter and reckless driving charges after 3 people died in that fiery wreck. In September, the U.S. Department of Transportation implemented new rules for commercial driver's licenses that make it harder for immigrants to obtain these licenses. Reporting in the newsroom, Madison Weil, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Making it harder for immigrants, right, air quotes, to obtain a commercial driver's license. You got to love how they're framing it, turning it into a sob story. You know, what are those rules that are being implemented by the tyrannical Trump administration, right? Making it harder for immigrants to get a CDL. Being proficient in English, being able to read and speak English proficiently. That's so tyrannical, isn't it? Trump is such a tyrant. Let me give you guys an example here of just the headaches that are caused, right? Outside of the fact that it's dangerous, but just the headaches that are caused overall by these, quote, immigrants, illegal, that cannot read or speak English while on the job. Check this clip out here that I'm going to play for you guys next. Then we're going to unpack some more stuff concerning this story. But this right here is completely ridiculous. Look at this.
So what are we doing? You don't understand it? You want me to say it?
Translator.
Oh, a translator.
Yeah.
So how do you do it in the real world? Okay, you cannot park this chassis in this pit because only certain chassis are allowed here. You can go park it anywhere in the yard. Did you understand that? Oh, now I'll translate it. Yeah, anywhere in the yard. You can park it over there by the flip line and KA, Larry A, wherever there's cans parked, just back it up. Or there's another chassis, another pit in the back. You can go park it in the back. Just drive around and park it somewhere. If you don't want to park it, you can take it with you. Take it home. Yeah, take it home. I don't give a fuck. Take it home. You just can't park it here. Yeah, you go that way, all the way that way, and then you just find a spot and park it.
Oh, even with the translator, this guy doesn't know what's going on. This is what's insane. Even with the translator, he's still lost and understands absolutely nothing. Yet this is somebody who's on the road, putting everybody's lives at risk. This is insane. And it carries on. Just keep watching this. Look at this.
Oh, you know what? You know what you can do? You know where the ocean's at over there? Just go into the ocean and let it go. Okay.
You know where the ocean's at over there? Yeah, just take it over there to the ocean and let it go. This just goes to show you how nonsensical all this is. Because we can take a moment and laugh at this because it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's scary, isn't it? This man, at this point, this guy is just clowning him now, saying, yeah, why don't you take it in the ocean and let it go over there? And this guy's sitting over here going, yeah, what? He doesn't know what's happening. So how is he allowed to be on the road? Now, mind you, this goes on for another minute and a half, but we don't have to belabor the point. We can, move on from here. But this just goes to show why it's so important that though these truck drivers know and speak English, I should say, should speak and read English proficiently. But somehow that's tyrannical. Somehow that's racist. Somehow that's xenophobic. I call it common sense. It's just logical. How anybody can be against that is beyond me. But then again, we are talking about DNC lunatics. What I want to do now is that I want to take a moment to pivot over to this article here. Check this out, right? Because concerning these new rules that the Trump administration, or I shouldn't say new rules, but Trump rules that are already existing on top of just tweaking them a little bit more just to make them tighter, right? Of course, surprise, surprise. Look at this here. Look at this. Court blocks, of course, is a liberal court, but court blocks new rules limiting which immigrants can get commercial driver's licenses. Now, on top of the fact that you have to read and speak English proficiently, what I want to do is take a moment to actually go through what these new rules actually are. And you let me know as we read them off whether or not you feel this is tyrannical and some dictatorship, or whether or not these are just simply common sense rules that are completely logical, that make all the sense in the world to implement and to abide by. Let's get into this now. Look at this. Here we go. Key provision of the rules. Okay. Restricted eligibility. Only non-citizens in certain employment-based non-immigrant visa categories will be eligible for a non-domicile CDL or commercial driver's learner's permit. Now look at this here. This is tyrannical, right? Specifically identified visa types include H-2A temporary agricultural workers, H-2B temporary non-agricultural workers, and E-2 treaty investors in many of the summary items, right? So what's being stated here is that if you have an H-2A visa, an H-2B visa, or an E-2 visa, meaning that you have a visa which allows you to legally work in America, not that you crossed the border illegally under the Biden administration and got a federal workers permit. No, these visas are specific work visas. So you actually came here to work because you got that visa and you jumped through all the hoops and hurdles in your country to be able to obtain that and to be able to legally come here so you can work. Those people can get their CDL. Obviously, if they can read and speak English proficiently, right? Because that's what you came here to do. That's what your visa is for and is about. Got it. Now, here are the category of individuals who are excluded. Other categories, such as asylum seekers, refugees, individuals with only an employment authorization document, EAD, or deferred action for children arrivals, DACA recipients are excluded for purposes of obtaining a non-domicile CDL under the rule. Why is that important? Because one of the things that Gavin Newsom and all these DNC lunatics hang their hat on is that they'll turn around and say, well, they have a federal workers permit, right? Meaning employment authorization document, an EAD. Asylum seekers and refugees are able to obtain that. This is why you see so many of these folks that are being arrested by ICE and they got here in 2023 and they'll say, hey, but I have my papers. I have my papers. No, you don't have your papers. You crossed the border illegally during the Biden administration. You filed a bogus asylum claim saying, well, I'm seeking asylum. I'm a refugee, which you were not seeking asylum because you didn't fall into the proper criteria of asylum seeking nor refugee status. The Biden administration was just handing that out like candy. Your court date is pushed out for 10 years from now. So while you're here waiting on a court date that's not going to come for another 10 years, here's your employment authorization document. Trump is putting an end to that, saying that's BS. That's BS. You don't get to skip the line like that. Forget about, once again, suspend for the moment the negative effects that it has on American citizens. We all understand that, and obviously I'm not downplaying that. But not only are you driving down the wages for American citizens, but going back to the H-2A, H-2B, and E-2 visas, you're skipping the line in front of them. These guys went through the gauntlet in their country to be able to get those visas. Okay, these visas aren't easy to come by, right? They're not. In their country, they have to go through it. It's like the Hunger Games in India to get one of these visas to be able to come here legally. Everybody that's just hopping the border and getting these bogus employment authorization documents by saying that, oh my God, I'm an asylum seeker, I'm a refugee, when you're not, they're hopping the line in front of them too. Okay, so Trump is saying, no, we're going to cut that off. That is a loophole that needs to be closed. You don't get to do that. But DNC lunatics are all for it. This is tyrannical. Everything that I've just read out to you right now makes logical sense. It makes sense. But if you let DNC lunatics tell it, this is tyranny. Now look at this here, and we're almost done. I mean, this is just, and the reason I don't want to belabor this point too much, because you guys get it already. But the thing is that like this is so basic that the fact that I even have to break this down the way that I do, not for you because you guys understand, but to the degree that you share this with somebody, the fact that you have to break this down in such detail, something that's so basic, is ridiculous. But it has to be done. Okay, so look at this: document and status verification. Applicants must present a valid foreign passport plus a valid form I-94 or I-94A arrival departure record showing lawful admission in the U.S. in one of the eligible non-immigrant categories. State driver licenses agency must query the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services database to verify the applicant's immigration status. The SDLA must retain copies of the application and supporting immigration documents for at least 2 years. Any non-domiciled CDL, CLP must expire no later than the expiration date of the holder's I-94, I-94A, or 1 year from issuance, whichever is sooner. Renewal must be conducted in person for each issuance, upgrade, or renewal step. What is the issue here? All they're saying is that you need to show us proof that you came into the country the right way, you have the proper work visa, and you have your paperwork which shows your length of stay, meaning you got here at said date and the expiration date for this visa is said date. Therefore, your CDO will expire at that same time and you can no longer drive moving forward. And if your set date and if the expiration date, I should say, for your visa exceeds the expiration date for your CDL, okay, you can renew it, right? You can upgrade it. You just have to show up in person and do it. What is the problem? Can somebody explain to me what the issue is with anything that you just heard me read here? But, you know, according to these liberal judges, this is tyranny. This is tyranny. Unbelievable. Now, look at this here. The Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation, Secretary Sean Duffy, he responded to this and he stated, "I will fight this ruling. The facts are clear. Our national audit has exposed a complete breakdown in how states issue non-domiciled licenses, allowing thousands of dangerous drivers to operate trucks. Our new rules close a loophole that let foreign drivers get trucking licenses without proving they qualify. That's absurd and a direct threat to the public. Just look at the recent crashes by these drivers, which killed a dozen innocent Americans. This is a crisis that requires immediate action. We won't stop fighting to keep dangerous, unqualified truck drivers off the road." Once again, the fact that this is something that we even have to go back and forth about is ridiculous. But you want to see what's equally ridiculous? The fact that you have Democrats that are fighting this is what leads to foolishness like this. Look at what I'm about to show you next. Look at this here. Yet another foreigner CDL driver rear-ended a truck while barreling down the highway. The driver doesn't speak English, had no shoes on, and probably had a CDL issued to him illegally. I wouldn't doubt that. This is a man's hard work ruined by a guy who shouldn't even be in this country. Now, this video that he has here that I'm going to play for you was pulled up from this man's Instagram page here, Mr. Timothy Williams. This was an accident that happened in between Kingman, Arizona, and Las Vegas, right? That's where this occurred at. So let's get into this clip here. This is completely ridiculous.
You wondering why Trump wants people to understand English and why we're getting rid of the non-domicile CDLs? That's the reason right there.
Look at this foolishness. Look at this foolishness, right? This is stuff that shouldn't even be happening, and it wouldn't be happening once again if the most basic of rules were being followed. But we're not allowed to implement the basic rules, essentially, because Democrats need their cheap labor. They want their cheap labor. That's what they're all about. Look at this right here. This is another completely out of control video here of just of folks that are just completely unqualified to be on the road, but they're on the road, putting everybody's life in danger. Look at this here as we bring this video to a close.
Nobody in this truck. There's legit nobody in this truck. This guy's truck just rolled into the middle of into Route 90. It literally just rolled onto Route 90. It went behind that sign and rolled straight through. Look at this. Buddy, is that your truck? No? Oh, it's his truck. Look at him. Look at him. Holy f***, you could have killed someone. And it's locked.
And he's locked out. And he's locked out. Look at him. Look at him. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms, and do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. It is extremely important that you do that. Please follow me on Telegram. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.